All right, guys. So, unfortunately, we got to talk about another mass shooting, which happened down in Allen, Texas, at a mall in which some lunatic opened fire on people outside of the mall, killing at least 8 people. And then eventually he got smoked by a hero cop who just happened to be in the area at the time. Now, there have been images that have been released from this mass shooting, and they are very, very, very gruesome. Okay. My thoughts and prayers are out with the families of the victims. Obviously this is a terrible situation. And, it definitely happens way too often in this country, the amount of mass shootings that we're seeing. But, I think it's just interesting, the mass shootings that the liberal media chooses to cover and the ones they don't choose to cover. Again, I think this one's definitely newsworthy of covering. However, there was a mass shooting that happened out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where you had a guy shoot and kill white people because they were white. Okay, it was a hate crime. Murdered them. Crickets. Still haven't heard anything about it from the mainstream liberal media. These same people who always are crying anytime there's an incident of racism. And this time, with this mass shooting, like most mass shootings, it's been politicized already by the left because they're not waiting until we actually get the facts. They're not waiting till more information comes out to form a conclusion about why this happened, okay? Because they're coming out and saying it's the guns, okay? And they're also pulling the race card, okay? They're saying that is also racism as well, too, because they're already claiming that the shooter was motivated by white supremacist beliefs, okay? White supremacist beliefs. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to read about it. But I want to show you guys the white supremacists here that the media is alleging, again, connected to white supremacy. Mauricio Garcia. This guy's Mexican, okay? So the liberal media's white supremacist is actually a Mexican, okay? And apparently he had ties to neo-Nazis, right? This is what the media is saying. So I'm going to talk about it. But first, I want to go ahead and play a couple news clips here to give you guys a better understanding of what happened during this tragic incident. Take a look.
The sound of gunfire disrupting a peaceful day at a shopping outlet outside of Dallas, Texas, Saturday afternoon.
We got shots fired at the young wall. I got people running.
The shooting happened around 3:30 p.m. local time.
Our officer was at Allen Premium Outlets on an unrelated call. He heard gunshots, located the gunshot, located the shooter, neutralized the shooter. We believe at this point that the shooter acted alone.
The outdoor shopping area packed with hundreds of shoppers on what was a sunny, warm day. Cole Korchak was there with his mother when he heard the shooting.
There's this guy dressed in all black, wearing a vest, has an assault rifle, and he's just shooting at people.
Eber Romero was there too and saw some of the victims.
It's people injured, really bad, some dead bodies. The shooters keep all the way around, like probably 5-10 stores. They keep shooting because the glass broken and everything.
Many shoppers say they ran inside stores to hide.
Pop, 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 pop. And we saw sparks flying, like it was right in front of us, so we just ran into the Converse store. They locked the door. We all hunkered down in the back.
We're all freaking out. We're like, what's going on? What's going on? And I had to go back to the front, lock the door. That's when I saw like cops all coming in. The helicopters was coming in.
Multiple agencies responded, including the FBI and ATF. Police officers escorted shoppers to safety, many seen walking with their hands above their heads.
At this point, police have not released any details of a possible motive, nor have they shared the identity of the gunman.
I need to get the car. A chaotic scene. Those were multiple rapid gunshots that you heard, and you can see people running for their lives. A photo obtained by CNN appears to show the gunman after he was shot by a responding officer, and you can see an AR-15 style rifle nearby. He is clad in black body armor and appears to have several extra magazines strapped to his chest. CNN's Ed Lavandera is there in Allen, Texas. Ed, I understand that you have just learned new information about the gunman, the suspected gunman, and what are you learning?
Hi, Frederica. Well, a senior law enforcement source confirms to our Josh Campbell that the suspect in this case has been identified as 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia, who lives in Dallas. We were in the neighborhood where we are told by neighbors, and this is we were at an address that matches Garcia's parents, and we were told by about a half dozen neighbors that we spoke with this morning there in that neighborhood that about an hour after the shooting took place here at the Outlet Mall in Allen, Texas, that investigators, which included FBI and Dallas police officers, were in that neighborhood speaking with the family of Mauricio Garcia, and that lasted for several hours. At one point, they had the entire street blocked off in that area as many people were trying to figure out where this law enforcement and why this law enforcement presence was there. Many of the neighbors had no idea that it was connected to this story unfolding and this breaking news unfolding here at the Allen Outlet Mall. So the identification of this suspect, 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia. We were also told by this source that he had been staying in some sort of transient housing. The Dallas Morning News describes it as an extended stay hotel situation. So we're trying to decipher and kind of weed through all of those details as well, and we'll continue to do that throughout the day. But this comes as we have been able to see this image of the body of the suspect there on the ground after Allen police say he was shot and killed by one of their officers. And you can see in that image the gunman dressed out in tactical bulletproof vest, other kind of tactical equipment. What's interesting is that as neighbors in that area where Garcia's family lived, we were told by one person that many people in the neighborhood had identified and noticed him from that picture based on the shoes that he was wearing in this very graphic image. Here at the scene, we are told by City of Allen officials that despite all of this and continuing developing situation, that there will be no press briefings by officials here, that the Texas Department of Public Safety has now taken over this investigation. Frederica?
All right. Ed Lavandera, thanks so much.
Yeah. So again, you've seen that, you heard that. The suspect is Mexican, okay? And they're alleging that he was motivated by white supremacist beliefs. Do you guys see how hard the media is trying already to twist this into some type of right-wing, act of violence, okay? This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to avoid any other narrative here outside of just, it's the guns, and you don't really know how he got the gun, right? How he acquired the gun. You don't know whether or not this guy was a gang member or what, because if you look at pictures of the guy, all his tattoos they has on his body suggest that he may or may not be a gang member. We really don't know, okay? We don't know that much about him, but mainstream media, they're crying white supremacy already because apparently this Mexican guy is a white supremacist. He had neo-Nazi beliefs, according to the Fed. So let's read about the Mexican white supremacist. The man who shot multiple people at an Allen, Texas mall on Saturday killed at least 8, served with the U.S. Army in 2008, and, quote, was removed due to mental health concerns, according to an FBI bulletin review by Rolling Stone. The FBI's, quote, review and triage of the subject's social media accounts reveal hundreds of postings and images to include writings with racially or ethnically motivated violent extremist rhetoric, including neo-Nazi materials and material espousing the supremacy of the white race. Interesting. Again, I wonder if this is a Nick Fuentes type white supremacist, right? Well, I think Nick Fuentes is like half Italian, half Mexican or something like that, half Latino. I don't know. Okay, we don't really know what type of white supremacist this is, but again, he's Mexican, but the media wants you to believe he's a white supremacist. Interesting. Investigators believe the shooter was a neo-Nazi and incel, according to local and federal law enforcement emails. On Saturday, the man identified as 33-year-old Dallas resident Mauricio Garcia in law enforcement documents allegedly opened fire at a Allen Premium outlet. The suspected shooter was killed by police at the scene, where several of the victims were found deceased. 9 additional victims were later transported to the hospital. Another two victims died at the hospital. Yeah, so what the story really should be more about than these accusations of white supremacy, which we really don't know, is about the hero police officer, right? The story of a good guy with a gun stopped more people from being shot and killed. That's what this story really should be about. That's what we really should be focused on, is the heroic actions of the police officer that was there on the scene to stop this guy from killing more people. But again, if you push the idea that, hey, the best way to stop a criminal with a gun, who, you know, we know that laws or that gun laws don't stop criminals from obtaining guns. We know that. Just look at a state like California or a city like Chicago or whatever. That, hey, you need a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. They don't want to play up that narrative, right? So the officer that actually stopped this guy from killing more people is not going to get nearly as much attention as the killer himself, who, again, the media is trying to say is a white supremacist. Again, it's just amazing how that works. We cover these stories in the wrong way, right? The way we should cover this story is hero cop stops mass shooter. That's the way we should be covering this story. But again, you're not seeing that headline. You're not going to see that headline because that headline, again, pushes a narrative that the mainstream media doesn't want people to hear or to believe in regards to how they should think about this situation. Because again, imagine if there wasn't a good guy with a gun there to stop that mass shooter. How many more people would have died? A lot more people would have died. Okay? But they want you to believe, though, that, you know, the solution here is for the government to take everybody's guns, right? To take everybody's guns, and that's the solution. All this is going to go away because, again, the criminals won't be able to access the guns because the government took them all, right? This is what they want you to believe. Garcia has no criminal history, but is believed to have been associated with a local neo-Nazi group. He previously reported a lost firearm to authorities, which police believe allowed him to then modify that same firearm in an attempt to make it harder to trace, according to the law enforcement documents reviewed by Rolling Stone. Garcia was armed with an AR-15 style rifle and a handgun, according to law enforcement emails. He was also wearing a tactical vest with an RWDS patch, a reference to right-wing death squad, which is a term used by white supremacists. He had 10 rifle magazines and 6 pistol magazines on his body. More handguns and rifles were found in his car, according to law enforcement emails. The investigation into the shooter's motives is ongoing, but law enforcement emails circulated throughout North Texas and the federal government early Sunday morning say the shooter may have been an incel who targeted the Allen Premium Outlets because he believed women would be present. It's unclear if the shooter targeted anyone he knew at the mall. The suspect is a U.S. citizen who has never applied for a passport, the law enforcement documents also noted. Yeah, so you already see the narrative being painted here, that this guy he had white supremacist beliefs. He was an incel, so he hated women, and that is why he targeted this mall. It's because, I don't know, he was trying to kill women. I'm not exactly sure, but this is what they're saying. I personally don't know. I would like to wait for more information to come out before I come to the conclusion that a Mexican white supremacist did this as an act of white supremacy. And there's just a lot more questions I would like to see answered before coming to a conclusion. But hey, I mean, this is what the media is saying. They're saying that this act of violence was committed by a Mexican white supremacist. So, you know, let me know what you guys think. Again, thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of the families. Thank God that a hero cop was there to prevent more people from losing their lives. Again, we need more cops. We need more good guys with guns to disarm these lunatics when they decide to do this. Again, it's just too bad that the media is not highlighting that aspect of it, what actually stopped this from getting worse. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.